Welcome to the Mystery of Life. I'm Jo.
And I'm Jonny.
And today we're asking, what is the Raelian movement? Now, I'm guessing you haven't heard of this apart from the bits that I've been feeding you when I've been researching it.
No, I just know it's a cult.
Well, it might be a cult. That sort of also could be the question.
Well, I think if you're asking the question, is this a cult? The answer's probably yes.
Well, I don't think I quite realised what I was walking into when I started researching this. We've got aliens, sex, religion, feminism, clones, cults, the Bible. I mean, need I go on?
I mean, I want to sign up for this cult.
It does say it's not bad. Right, so...
Add drugs into that and we are sorted.
Right, it was founded in 1974 by Claude Raelian. And he was actually a French journalist. He wrote about car racing and was a test driver for his own magazine, Autopop. And one day, in December 1973, Claude was out wandering volcanic areas in France, you know, as you do, and he spots a UFO. Now, it's your classic flying saucer type ship, lights around the middle, kind of disc-shaped. The door opens, stairs descend to the ground, and out pops a little alien. But it's an adult alien, although he's only 4 foot tall.
I'm guessing this is a grey then, if it's only 4 foot tall.
Well, yes and no. Now, I did find a picture, although it's not a photo, it's a rendering of it.
Oh, yeah, if you found a picture of it, this would be a vastly different conversation.
No. It's a rendering based on his description, which I did show you, if you recall, and you said you thought it looked like a strange Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Which is an insult to Johnny Depp, let me be clear.
It really is. Like, it doesn't look like Johnny Depp. It's just got features that...
Yeah, it had long black hair and a black beard, quite neat. Now, however, what the rendering image that I showed you didn't describe was that apparently his face was shimmery, like he had a glow around him, a bit like a halo, only everywhere. And
he was a Twilight vampire.
No, they glittered.
Oh, sorry.
And his skin had a bit of a greenish tinge, which Claude described as like someone with liver problems. Yeah. So he had large almond-shaped eyes and was wearing an all-in-one green suit with just his head exposed. Do you reckon that's like a onesie? Do you reckon he had feet?
They're always wearing onesies.
Are they?
There's
I've not come across
always
that
like some
before.
sort of one-piece high-tech, like,
Right.
like they wouldn't get clothes at any point in the revolution. I struggle. The thing is right, I know for a fact why everyone thinks they're saucer-shaped, and it's bullshit. Yeah, so, right. When the first man encountered a UFO, he described them as saucers skimming across a lake.
Like a rock.
In terms of their movement.
Okay.
He said saucers skimming along. But the shape of them was not... They were shaped like boomerangs when he described them. But newspapers went with flying saucers.
That's not to say that there isn't saucer-shaped spacecraft.
I just think it's highly unlikely this error is made and there's saucer-shaped flying objects.
Okay, well, you're going to need to get past the shape of the spaceship for this, because we've got a lot more stuff you're going to have to get on board with to join this religion. So, now the alien's name is Yahweh, Elohim.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
That's his name.
Why would it be pronounceable by us?
Well, it's not, but that's how we pronounce. We say Yahweh.
What does he say?
Yahweh. He says a number of letters I can't pronounce, which is what's written in
How do they translate this?
I don't know.
Did they get the alien to English dictionary out? That makes no... They've just chosen a name. Fuck off.
Well, fine. Whatever they've done. Oh, don't we all choose our names? Anyway, Yahweh smiles and seems friendly. Claude asks him if he speaks French. Remember, they're in France. Yahweh says he speaks all Earth languages, and he invites Claude onto his spaceship to have a chat. They have a lot to get through.
I find it difficult to believe that
I'm not surprised that you're
he can
finding
speak
this
all English,
difficult.
all human languages. It's kind of like talking to a lion. Like, if you could, like, you'd have no points of reference. You wouldn't be able to make a conversation. Like, if a lion could speak and you tried to have a conversation with it, it would make
That's
it would
because
go
we're
nowhere.
a different species.
Yes, and Yahweh is not from Earth, is he?
No, but
So how conversations are going to be like?
Hold on.
Have you seen the football
Hang
game? It's
on.
like, what's football?
You
What's seeing?
want to put a pin in that for a second? I'm coming back. So Claude gets on board and asks, "Why me? Why me?" Which
Let me
is
guess,
a fair
he's
question.
special in some kind of way.
It turns out this wasn't an accident. Yahweh claims to have used telepathy to get him to be at that location on that day. And Yahweh asks if Claude has recently read the Bible. And Claude says, well, yes, actually, I've recently just bought one. Well, that wasn't an accident either. Yahweh is Yahweh a he?
How do I know? I don't know.
I don't know if we've gendered the aliens. Anyway, so Yahweh says that it is him that's caused this. His telepathy, yet again, compelled Claude to buy the Bible.
Like, this story started with Claude, like, being out and about. But this should have started with, for some unknown reason, I went to somewhere I've never been before. But it doesn't.
Well...
He just, like, it starts with him at the place. So why isn't the story, I woke up in bed and had a real compulsion to go to this location? No, you just went there, mate. Fuck off.
I will say as well that unlike some of the stories that I tell you, where obviously I take a number of sources and try and give you the best version of what happened, Claude has written a number of books. And this came from his book. It has come straight from the horse's mouth, as it were, rather than other sources. So, but yes, you're right. It could well have started like that. Maybe he's not a good storyteller, although he is a journalist. So you have to wonder.
Maybe he's making it up.
It turns out that they chose Claude because they needed someone born after 1945. I'll come to this later because this is a big part of it. And it turns out that his mum was Catholic and his father was Jewish. So he was not brought up in a single religion household. And apparently that is all it takes. The criteria here is that.
So far, those criteria are met by billions of people.
Yeah, I know. So Claude asks Yahweh where he is from, but it's not safe to tell Claude that yet. Yahweh asks Claude to read the Bible and write down.
He's going to get in his spaceship and attack.
Yeah, well, Yahweh asks Claude to read the Bible and write down all of his questions, and he will come back tomorrow and answer them. So he does. Claude reads and makes notes, and Yahweh returns over the next 6 days and lays out
He read the Bible in 6 days.
Yes. Well, he'd already been started to read it, so...
Yeah, a text that scholars have studied for years on Earth and still don't fully understand.
Well, as it turns out, we've misunderstood the Bible entirely.
Well, I agree with that, but probably not for the same reason.
No. We will go through some of the horrendous errors we've made shortly. But the main one is there is no God.
That's a big fuck up because the Bible's pretty heavy on the God thing.
Yeah. In fact, it should have been the Elohim, which was a race of super beings, Yahweh, of course, being one of them. They are what we consider to be God. They designed us. We are a planet by intelligent design. And frankly, we've gotten a little bit out of control if this is true.
Oh, it's one of these. It's an
They
ancient aliens.
are our creators.
No, they're not.
Using advanced cloning technology, they created us in their image. This was somewhere around 25,000 years ago. And then a bunch of the Elohim have come back like over time, over the years, and chosen to impregnate certain specifically chosen human women. I also wonder if that's by choice. Like, did the woman know, or was this like a Mary situation? Funny I should mention Mary. Jesus is one of them.
I imagine that aliens impregnated Mary and not
Correct.
God.
Correct. Yes, that's right. Prophets would be sent to Earth, Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, the Buddha, etc. And they weren't sent by God, but by the Elohim. And they are all Claude's brothers.
Right, so why are they sending people with vastly different views down to confuse the fuck
Apparently
out
they're
of us?
not. Apparently this is just how we've misinterpreted things over the years.
Right, okay.
So now...
No, it's not.
So now, Claude is the 40th prophet, and he's going to be the final prophet, and he's going to sort us all out. He's going to spread the word and be like, right, this is what you've got wrong, but we're all the same. We all have... so he's the brother of Jesus. They have the same dad, Yahweh, but different mums. I don't know Claude's mum, but of course you've got Mary. And just like Jesus and friends, Claude is to prepare us and the world.
Did a shit job. This is stupid because there's certain I can get on board with all religions are meant to be the same and we've misunderstood the teachings, blah blah blah. But there's stuff in each religion that's extremely specific. Like I don't have to be like as a Christian, you don't have to be kosher, but as a Jew, you do, and that's written down. Like that, they haven't just come up.
Who wrote it down?
They haven't come up with these guidelines out of thin air.
No, but it has. You do know how things can change over time. You know, one person says one thing, and 20 years later, that's enveloped into something completely different.
Well, yeah, but I believe that all religious texts have basically been invented by people in power to control.
Well, the Elohim.
No, that's no. By the Romans, by like
Would we have had Romans?
Yeah, we would have had Romans, Roman Catholics.
How long ago was Romans? It probably was less than 25,000 years ago.
It was less than 25,000 years ago, definitely. It's about 2,000 years. I don't know. A long time. Romans, populated
the
world.
With the timeline here now. Yeah, okay. So they want to make humanity more peaceful, which, I mean, can only be a good thing. We could do with a bit more peace. Claude is given a mission, which he accepts.
Yes, but I'd like to point out as well that the reason we don't have any peace is them.
Well...
Most conflict is started by the religions that they created. So if they wanted to, just don't give us a fucking religion.
It might have been a bit of an accident. I suspect if we've gotten it wrong all these times, like they sent down whoever the first prophet was and he messed it up and they were like, right, let's send another one. And now here we are with Claude, 40 prophets later, who frankly isn't doing the best job considering this was 1975 and I'm only just learning about it now.
What about the gods before the popular ones?
Well, we've all misunderstood it all because
What
it
are
was
the pagan
Elohim.
gods?
The Elohim made us. They sorted us out. They came, they cloned themselves, and then they impregnated the good ones.
Right, okay. So stories like this is something that bugs me.
Right. This is not a surprise, considering this is a lot.
Because these thoughts of creationism is based on humans' own ego. We're so great, we have to have been created. We can't get on board with the idea that through sheer luck and numbers, we exist. Trying to explain to someone that we come from particles that were born in the Big Bang, all these other majorly random factors came together to make human life. That doesn't sit well with the average human. They want to be special. They want to have purpose. If our creation was random and life's creation is random, there's no meaning to life. And humans seek meaning. That's why we fight against science when it says, no, you're not the favourite children of God. You came out of that puddle by accident.
Well, the Elohim want to give us that meaning.
Yeah, but there is none.
Well, Claude is given a mission, which he accepts. He will build the Elohim embassy so that aliens can return to Earth, a one-world government with a single currency. And it seems that Jerusalem, at the time, appears to be the preferred choice, although I'll tell you later why that's gone wrong.
Well, yeah, really, Jerusalem has gone, like, I don't know what, isn't there like a famous argument over that?
No, but there's it gets worse than that. So after these 6 visits, Claude accepts his new mission and changes his name to Rael, which means messenger of Elohim.
No, it doesn't.
Reading from his book here, he says, Rael accepted the mission given to him to inform humanity of this revolutionary message and to prepare mankind to welcome their creators, the Elohim, without any mysticism or fear, but as conscious and grateful human beings.
When you pick someone a little bit more prominent for that.
Well, he was a French journalist. He wasn't a complete no one.
Name me a French journalist.
Claude. Another one. Yeah, I know, but I'm sure if I lived in
France...
France...
if I wanted to spread a word, I wouldn't go to some random guy in France. I'd go to the Pope. Or the President.
Well, that might have been harder to convince.
Shouldn't have been if you're if you're there. So well, Claude may have trouble convincing the Pope of his wild claims, but the actual alien turning up at the Vatican might make them think about it.
Yeah.
Like, there's better way. This is a terrible way to spread a message.
Well, so he was 27 at this point, and that was 1973, which means we are now 50 years later, and I see no Elohim embassy on the map. And we are possibly further away now than we ever were from a single government, given that, we've left Europe and there's a war. Well, more than one, but...
Yeah, and that's under the assumption that a single government is a good thing.
Yeah, So apparently they're coming back in 2035. So we haven't got long. So we could probably still be doing this podcast in 12 years.
Well, this episode, that's a bit long.
No, but we can report back when the Elohim come.
Well, I won't.
And Rael will be 90, so he could see it happen. Just. And
so how much money has Rael made?
Well, this is a bit of a question mark. So Rael starts spreading the word. He writes his first book and recruits a few members.
Does he give this book away for free so that he can spread the word that they wanted to spread the word?
No, well, one of them is free. The one I read on his website is free.
Is that the full book or is that an excerpt?
No, that is the full first book.
Okay, well, that's because obviously if you're going to spread a message out,
it's like 400 pages long. I haven't read the whole thing.
Putting an RRP on it really ruins your reach, doesn't it?
No, it's a free download at the moment.
The first one, the second one, and the third one's not so much.
Yeah. A couple of years later, he is invited and taken to the alien planet where he has dinner with Jesus and a couple of other prophets. Because when you're an Elohim, you're immortal. You can shed your human body, your life form, as it were, but your soul will go up and live on.
So it's a bastardization of the Buddhist reincarnation, then.
We have merged several things here, but then that makes sense, doesn't it? If we've messed up the Elohim belief, then it does make sense that we've merged several religions together. Anyway, the planet is beautiful and all seems lovely, so he starts his religion, Raelism. Now, obviously,
interesting that it's named after him.
Yeah, not Elohism or something.
Yeah, no. Yeah. No sense of self-importance there as well. It's like when a priest says, I think what God meant to say.
Yeah.
I've never been that confident in knowing anything.
Now, obviously, they're a UFO religion, is what it states. But I find that odd because UFO means unidentified flying object, but they've identified it.
Well,
Have they not?
No, it doesn't. That's why people are starting to change terms because UFO means alien.
Well, the other thing is they don't like
alien.
They don't like alien. They prefer extraterrestrial because alien makes it sound like they don't belong.
Extra. Right, see, terrestrial is what we are,
Yes.
and extraterrestrial means you don't belong on this planet.
Well,
That's our language. Fuck off.
Well,
you can't tell us what fucking to call you.
on the website where it says the Raelian movement, the tagline underneath says intelligent design for atheists. It is a bit of a confusing one, isn't it, to bring atheism into a religion? I know technically you can have a religion and still be an atheist because it's the whole God thing that's the problem.
You haven't got... Well, it's
But now
more
you've got a
complicated
collection
than
of
that.
beings instead of God.
I don't know. You are still spreading like... Because like...
You are still
theoretic-
believing in something bigger than yourself, which I think is the point, is it not?
Like, whatever species they are, like, there'd still be a God that you're worshipping some higher power that has a hold over you. It's a rewording of the same thing.
Well, there are other UFO-based religions, but Raelians say they're different because they believe strongly and firmly in science.
Oh, okay then. So can I have the DNA of the alien, please?
Well, they also say another reason you might like them. Well, they didn't say this, actually. I'm saying.
That'd be oddly specific.
Another reason you might like them is because they say they entirely reject the supernatural, which is interesting considering you're trying to convince us to believe in an alien life form, which although isn't truly supernatural, is also not
the
quite...
bit where their soul goes into another body is... No, I don't believe in a soul. I don't believe in a spirit. I believe that once your body's dead, your brain is dead, and therefore you are dead. You are the electrical impulses circling around your little mushy brain. That is it.
I think the problem that they have, trying to convince people that they're a decent religion, one of many problems, in fact, is that, of course, Heaven's Gate was claiming to be a UFO religion. And we all know how badly that ended up. And I think we have to assume they probably aren't back with the aliens. I mean, maybe they are. But it is a fairly risky business. You know, it's generally deemed as a mass suicide event rather than people returning back to their alien world.
Well, like, Rael went up there without dying, so I don't see why anyone else has to die.
No, well, to be clear, they are two separate religions. But I'm just saying I think they get a bit of a bad rap because of
No, they get
Heaven's
bad rap
Gate.
because they're a fucking cult.
Well, Rael has his own YouTube channel and many books.
Oh, good. Really difficult. That's really difficult to achieve these days.
Does the Pope have a YouTube channel? I meant to
The
Google it, I
Vatican
forgot.
probably does have some form of PR team.
As
The
I
Vatican's
say-
a business, so yeah, it does.
Yeah. As I say, one of his books, the first book, which explains a lot of this, is free to download on their website at the moment. It is lengthy. I've tried my best to read the important parts, at least the parts explaining why the Bible is wrong, which I'll come to shortly. If you watch videos of him, he doesn't seem that bad. I'm going to play you a clip of him later. He says the only leader is love. People question whether or not it's real, but at the end of the day, does it matter? Because love is great. And what if it's true?
Yeah, but that's a logical fallacy. You can't live your life that way. That's the rock that keeps the elephant away.
Well, they're very non-violent. They hate violence. I mean, what's not to love here? Really? They're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, until they're attacked by another nation and we're fucked.
They claim to have over 100,000 members in 90 different countries. Apparently that is mainly Quebec, Europe and Japan, which I found interesting. Apparently skeptics think, however, this number is closer to 25 or 30,000.
I think it's even less. I think like no one's going to believe this shit.
I have to admit, there's not a lot in the UK. I have looked into this. and
No,
we'll come back
like
to
he's
that.
making up the numbers like he's made up everything else in this story.
Well, they do have numerous locations, although let me be clear, you don't have to live there or anything, but they've got like bases, I guess. I wouldn't go as far as to call it a church, and neither do they, but they have UFO land in Quebec. Elohika is a Raelian village in Africa, and they've also got land in Slovenia. I'm not actually sure where Rael is now, but as I say, you can just have like a normal life and be a Raelian. You don't have to go and live
How
with
much do
them.
you have to pay to be a Raelian?
Well, I have spent some time trying to look into this, and honestly, it could be anywhere from $150 a month to 10% of your wages.
So it depends how much money you've got, how much they gouge you for. They weigh it based on your earnings.
From what I can gather, it seems that way. It's not free. That much I have been able to figure out.
I'm sorry, but any religion that requires you to pay
Yeah.
is fake.
I know. Right.
More
now-
than any other religion. It's ridiculous to think that there's a God out there that wants you to pay
but
them.
no, it's just that they've got to get the $20 million he needs for the Elohim embassy. Costs a lot of money to build an embassy.
So the Elohim can create us, but they can't build a building.
No.
Oh, this is like a Noah's Ark bullshit
Oh,
thing.
it's funny you should mention Noah's Ark because he comes up in a minute.
I bet he
now,
does.
the Raelian symbol caused some controversy because it is the Star of David with a swastika in the middle.
What way round's the swastika?
The evil way. But, I mean, do they really have to put it in a Star of David? Because, that's a Jewish symbol.
Yeah, I get it, but it depends whether they're using the religious symbol of a swastika
Yeah,
versus,
I know. Well, that's what they say.
but it's all about the like.
They're trying to bring the swastika back because it was a symbol of peace before
It hasn't
Hitler
gone
got
away.
hold of
It's
it.
just used correctly.
It hasn't got away. I think, is it Hinduism?
Hindus, yeah. I used to work with a Hindu who had I don't know what they actually call it. It was part of my ignorance, but they had a swastika on a bracelet. And you go, what's that? And he goes, oh, that's a thing. And it's meant to be pointing this way, right? Like all they did was steal a religious icon.
Yeah, so they're trying to bring that back.
I see it as fruitless, and combining that is it's intensely insensitive. This
is it. They
pointlessly
say
insensitive.
They say it's a lack of education which creates the negativity around the swastika, which might be true, but at the same time, if you're creating a new religion that you want people to get behind.
Why do they need to
Is that the best marketing move? And also, let's remember, you may have recalled earlier I said that they wanted to build the Elohim embassy in Jerusalem. Well, Israel were not happy about this, right? For any stretch, for lots of reasons, especially because they are a 75% population Jewish.
Yeah.
It's a very, I didn't realise it was that high, like, of people that were Jewish. I knew it was a Jewish country, but I didn't realise it was quite that high.
And it's crazy Jewish.
Yeah, so they were like very offended by the fact that they'd put a swastika in their symbol and then they were trying to build in their country. They didn't care that it was a peaceful symbol once. Well, they tried to appease Israel, so they started using a secondary symbol, which was like a swirl in the middle of the Star of David, rather than they'd kind of curved the corners of the swastika.
Okay, as much as I'm not on board with the swastika, I'm less on board with that.
Well, they use both now. So if you go on their website, the swastika one is live. But if you want to get them into Israel, then in the Israel ones they use the swirl.
Well, I don't know why Israel matters to him so much.
Because they want to build the Elohim embassy there.
It's a really shit place. It's really out of the way.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. Israel said no.
You can't just go build a deeply religious grounds. It's like going, I want to put a Starbucks in the middle of.
Yeah.
Like you just can't do it.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to like this is all supposed to be like stuff that's meant to happen. So it's like he's meant to have been told about this symbol and blah blah blah. Have some fucking conviction. Be like, no, it's not. Like get over it. It's not a Nazi symbol. It's a Hindu symbol.
Yeah.
Don't change it. I hate it when religion changes. It's not supposed to change. If what you believe pisses someone off, you're still supposed to believe it.
Yeah, I mean, people die for their religions.
Yeah, I'd much rather have a conversation with a fundamentalist than one of those wish-washy lesbian priests that ignore half the Bible. I want to hear about the guy that thinks I'm going to hell. I'd rather talk to him than that one that goes, nah, it's fine.
Well, we have said this before, that although I strongly disagree with the religions that don't believe in any kind of freedom, really. So, like, you can't be gay, or I don't know, whatever else. Any of it.
It's gay and women. Gay and women. It's all religion.
I don't like that. But it's like exactly what you said. Like, if you are part of that religion, how can you just erase it? Why don't you just say no, the religion is wrong, and not be that religion anymore? Anyway, we've gone down a hole here we don't need to go into because we've got a lot to get through. So the rules of Raelism: no violence and love. That's it.
Nice, but that society would fall apart real fucking quick if
Their
we went by those rules.
Their goals are to spread the message of the Elohim, build the embassy, and they list their values as self-love, self-respect, sharing, respect for others, accountability, femininity, world peace, and a non-violent way of living. They have a lot of teachings and a lot of keys to how to live your life.
Yeah, it's all idealistic bullshit, though.
It's nice, though, isn't it? But
it
also,
would be nice,
isn't that just how to be a nice human? Self-love, self-respect, sharing.
Most of it is, yeah, and on a personal level, but on a global level, those things can't work. Because the second we become that society, a society that isn't like that will just take us out.
Well, not if the whole world is at peace.
Well, we've just discovered that aliens are real, so there's going to be other aliens out there. How are we going to defend ourselves?
Well, Rael has an assistant, a philosopher, and a musician as part of his entourage that follow him about all day.
Is that one person?
No, 3 separate people. When I say musician as well, she just sings a lot. That was what you heard earlier when I was watching that YouTube video. She's just with him singing, and he just walks around in white the whole time. Now, obviously, they said they believe in science and they want to create a world which embraces science. And on the whole, I don't think we're like that bad at embracing science.
No, there's only certain parts of the world are.
One big part of their belief, of course, was cloning, because we are descendants of genetically modified beings that came before us. So they set up Clonaid in 1997, and they claimed to have cloned a baby who was named Eve, born in 2002, 7 pounds. They wouldn't let scientists examine the baby or any of the documentation.
I thought they were all for science.
Well, they were.
The scientific method.
They had to protect Eve and her privacy. But they promised that we would meet Eve soon. Well, Eve's an adult now. And there is no sign of her.
We can clone things. We do clone things. And when we do clone them, things go very wrong because that's not how biology works. Diversity is the key to survival. You don't want constant repetition of the same genetic code.
Well,
because that will have faults in it.
They claim that they're still doing it. They're still a company. They reckon they can bring back figures such as Hitler for retroactive punishment, which seems a bit unfair because the clone technically wouldn't have Hitler's memories and therefore wouldn't
I thought they were non-violent.
I guess.
I thought they were all peace and love.
Well, not when Hitler's involved.
What could that do? Re-invoking Hitler.
So it's run by one of the priests, one of the bishops, of Raelism, Bridget. And apparently the Raelism people understand why Bridget won't release the proof because even though she didn't actually do the cloning in France it is illegal to clone humans. And if you are a French citizen, regardless of where the cloning took place, you can still go to prison for 30 years if you come back to France. So they're basically saying we've done it, but we're not going to tell you about it because Bridget might go to prison.
No, because, see, what would happen is they'd say they've done it, and then a government agency would go, hold up, they're saying they've cloned people.
To be clear, the US government did question them.
Yeah, and they look into it and find out they haven't cloned anyone because they haven't got the ability, the equipment, or any of that, and they go, nah, this guy's lying, and move on. That's why this is continuing, because they're not cloning. If they were legitimately cloning people, we'd find out and we'd shut them down, but we haven't.
Well, they also claim to be able to clone your pets. Bring back your favourite racehorse.
It's not...
And they offer genetically modified children. So you want to choose what your child looks like? They'll do it.
I'm not necessarily against that.
I'm not in the sense that like what you said, it would be good to, if you've got a gene that means, you're going to get some sort of weird illness, fine, have that taken out. I get that.
Yeah, you could remove hereditary genes that spread disease,
but
illness,
like
and
we're
pain.
sort of already looking at that anyway, aren't we?
Yeah, we keep getting told off, though, for messing with God's plan and whatever, and it's stupid because there is no plan. We're all random and we can do what the fuck we like.
So you don't think Eve's a thing?
No, I don't think anyone's ever successfully cloned a human and they've survived.
Well, they're at it all the time, so.
They claim to be, but do you remember Dolly the sheep?
Yeah, they use her as evidence.
She was horrendously ill. Like, it wasn't a healthy animal. You don't get healthy animals from cloning. You just don't do it. You just don't get it. Because if we could, world hunger would be over. We'd be able to make as many cows and chickens as we fucking like. We could print them out like a 3D printer.
Well, we have printed meat, haven't we?
Well, that's a different story. That's
anyway,
not...
Yeah. So the other thing they believe in is free love. Now, this is a big one for the Raelians, and I mean, it doesn't sound all that bad. They encourage safe sex, birth control, and believe that sex should be for pleasure, not reproduction.
Why did they make it? Why did they make it so that we could reproduce sexually? Then
you should clone or genetically create your kids instead.
That's stupid. Why did they? Why make us?
Sexual pleasure is a gift from the aliens.
Oh, and what about the pregnancy afterwards?
Well, they are on board with abortion, but it should be used as a last resort.
They created us, so why did they make it so that we could have babies during sex?
Well, the thing is, like, who created them?
Well, this is the whole thing.
Right, now, to be clear, whilst they have been known to arrange orgies and, everything's all sort of free love and sex, it is adult, and from what we can tell, everything seems above board and no children are involved. So...
do what you like.
Do what you like. Yeah, great. They believe in sexual liberation, and they have fought for full equality for LGBTQ communities, and that can only be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's good. They also started a group called No Pedo to combat paedophilia and have them castrated or put into mental institutions instead of
don't agree with that.
on the street.
I don't agree with that.
To be fair, it's not getting anywhere.
Well, no, because it's vigilante justice, and vigilante justice is terrible. Like,
well, it's not necessarily vigilante justice. I think they're trying to make it so that laws are changed, not going out on the street and grabbing a pedo.
Yeah, but that's how this starts.
Well, maybe. Like I say,
like,
you can't. No,
but you can't. Like, it's like starting a neighbourhood watch for pedo. You can't just go around doing going, that guy's a pedo. We need to persecute him.
No, I think it's more that if someone is convicted, they're then put into a mental institution or they're castrated or both. So it's not about going out and finding them yourself. It's about dealing with them once they're known.
Yes, but people like this don't understand how the legal system works and why it works the way it does.
Well, they also
if you punish a crime too heavily, you make other crimes worth doing. So if this guy's going to spend the rest of his life in a mental institution, instead of just diddling that kid, he may as well murder it, because what's the difference? That is why you can't punish crimes too heavily. There has to be a weighting system. Otherwise, if every crime had the same, like, you get life in jail for everything, you may as well murder and rape while you're stealing a melon, because you're going to go to prison for the exact same length of time.
It hasn't got very far. They also have a campaign called Go Topless for women, because if men can, women should be able to too. Now, I see the logic in this.
I don't really think men should.
However, it just feels a bit wrong. Like, I don't want to walk around topless. And I don't want to be made to feel like a non-feminist because I'm not doing it.
I don't want to see other people's tits.
But I did think as well, like, if you want to live that way, that's fine. Like, I'm genuinely all for it. But I don't know.
Look, their argument is men have nipples, but they are vastly different things, and they are seen in vastly different ways. Women's breasts are highly sexualized objects. It is the equivalent of me walking around with my cock out. I don't care if they're made where they are, or if they're technically the same material. They are sexualized and they are different.
Yeah, and to be clear, I'm not saying that's right, but that's what's happened, and this is where we are. Right. Anyway, Rael and friends wrote a book called Sensual Meditation, and they're big on masturbation, including masturbation of the brain. Yeah, you can train your senses, you can improve perception, and you can improve your perception of the infinite as well. I don't really know what that means, but
no, it's bollocks.
So they've also fought against female genital mutilation, which again is a great thing. Clitoraid, they called it, which I'm not bored
with their funny names for things.
I know, everything's just an aid. So, but anyway, but they have done some really good stuff there, so good for them. There was also an event where they handed out condoms to older teenagers at a school in Montreal, a Catholic school. So, I mean, it's funny.
Like, these activities are all fine.
Now, in the late 1990s, Rael married a 16-year-old.
Not fine.
With his mother's permission, her mother's permission.
Not fine.
But this was mostly because he kept getting questioned in customs.
Because he was
travelling with her.
All right,
so it just made it easier to make him his wife. Sorry.
So let me get this straight. The guy that started No Pedo.
Yes, was in his 50s. When they got married?
Married a 16-year-old.
Yeah, but with her mother's permission.
I don't care about permission. You're a pedo, mate.
I didn't like that. Well, 16 is...
I don't know. No, 16 is legal. Yeah.
I know.
I don't give a shit about legality. I don't
agree.
give a shit what the law is.
Anyway, they divorced a year later because he doesn't really believe in marriage. It's just that it was a legal thing, to help out at customs. But she still speaks very highly of him. I mean, you can have relationships.
A kidnapping victim with Stockholm Syndrome speaks very highly of the people that kidnap them. Doesn't mean that person is a good person.
If you marry, it has to be within the religion as well. So, which is kind of normal, I guess. So, becoming a Raelian, do you want to become one yet?
No.
You have to formally disavow any previous religion you've had, and you have to upload your DNA to a space computer, which means you can be digitally recreated later and become immortal.
How do you upload your DNA?
I don't know. I guess they put it into a computer. Whatever.
No, but...
Anyway, you have to sign a document that says they can cut a bit of your bone from your forehead when you die that will be kept until the Elohim return to Earth, and then you can be brought back via cloning.
But I thought they had my DNA. Why do they need my bone?
When you die, you're going to have a bit of your bone cut out, all right? So you'll be baptised on one of 4 holy days in the Raelian calendar.
Why the fuck am I being baptised? That's a fucking Christian.
Well, it'll either be on the anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima. I'll come back to you shortly as to why that's relevant. Or it'll be on the anniversary of Rael's first encounter. When he first met
I'm starting
Yahweh.
to feel that this guy is a little bit on the side of the Axis during World War II.
It'll either be on the anniversary of Rael's visit to the Elohim, where he, ate with Jesus and the rest of it, or it'll be on the anniversary of when the Elohim created Adam and Eve.
Why would the Elohim create just Adam and Eve when they can clone multiple people?
Well, I think they probably did, but that's, our misunderstanding of the Bible again, isn't it? Now, they have an FAQ section on their website, and this says to become a Raelian, there is no joining fee. But there is monthly dues, which, as I mentioned earlier, no one seems to want to talk about. I have looked into this a lot.
I'm guessing one of the rules is don't talk about how much money you
probably
give us.
It must be, because it seems to be, some people were saying $150 a month. Others said 10% of your annual salary, which, like you say, does depend on how much money you have. So if you're not earning that much, £150 a month could be all you need. I don't know,
well,
whatever.
It's £1,500 a month if it's 10%. That's still like a low wage.
Yeah, so...
It's means tested. That's ridiculous.
Well, we don't know that for sure, but that's what I'm saying. This is where the speculation is. But the Rael website does talk about being able to give more. So it will ask for donations on top of this, which are optional. And it says that the money, it explains where the money goes. So, towards a fund for science and the Elohim Embassy.
Mm-hmm. And
but apparently, Rael does not take a salary.
How does he have a house, food?
There you go. I don't know.
He does take a salary, he's lying.
It did lead me to wonder, though.
He takes 100% of that money you give him. Because he ain't building a fucking embassy.
It did lead me to wonder, though, right? Because you can go to, rael.org. Anyway, it did just make me think, I'm on an FAQ website for a religion. So I thought, I wonder if the other religions have websites. Turns out they do. You can go to Christianity.org.
Yeah, but
so
they're all, created by people that aren't the head of their religion. It's not like the Pope sat down and wrote an FAQ. It's like some bloke who thinks he knows what the Bible means.
No, and Christianity is the Christianity.org one, I only glanced over it, but it's not really the same thing. If you go on them both, you'll see what I mean. Now, as I say, they claim to have over 100,000 members worldwide, but not a lot in the UK. I actually did look to join, right? Because I read a lot of articles about people that had like gone on their first meeting when you're asked to join and then just not gone back. So I thought we could do that and get some like really in-depth looking into. But honestly, I feel like it's a dangerous system because I am quite easily led up the garden path. So I thought like...
No, you don't get to hang around with cults.
Now, they have a tier system, and I think that's quite common in a cult.
Mm-hmm. So, Scientology.
0 is trainee, 1 is assistant organiser. I don't know, organiser of what, I don't know. 2 is organiser, 3 is assistant priest, 4 is priest, 5 is bishop, and 6 is planetary guide. There's only 1 at level 6.
That's Rael.
That's Rael. But there are 5 bishops. One of which is Bridget. Well, it is a bit of a sausage fest because only a third of members are women.
Well, they don't need women.
But there is the Order of Angels, which was set up a few years ago, preaching about sex-positive feminism, and they have a special group for supporting women who work in the sex industry, which I thought was great. But you can have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or several or whatever. It's up to you. Or you can choose to be with only the prophets and the Elohim, a bit like a nun. And you get given different colour ribbons based on what you've chosen.
Great.
So you can either be sometimes available for Rael, because of course he's a prophet, and then waiting for the Elohim, or always available for Rael.
It's interesting that even in this instance, women are treated like shit in this religion as well.
Yeah. Well,
you are cattle to be used by men.
With ribbons.
Yeah. Oh, that woman's wearing a blue one. I can fuck her whenever I like.
Pretty much, yeah. Gold, actually, is the whenever you like. Pink is at their choice, but they're saving themselves for just Rael and the Elohim. In 2004, Rael posed with his pink angels for Playboy.
I mean, well, I think if you're associated with Playboy, you're probably not up to good things.
Well, Bridget, remember she's one of the bishops, says that she reckons Rael is the most successful prophet considering the size of his following. I feel like Jesus may want a word.
Well, yeah.
I feel like I'm not Christian.
I mean, the Jews may agree, but the Christians won't.
I'm not Christian, but I can tell you a lot about Christianity.
We were raised in a Christian country.
And so I feel like Jesus
and if you want to speak
would have something to say about that.
And if you want to speak to the power of a prophet, I don't see anyone doing any crusades in the name of Rael.
Well, Muhammad as well. I think he'd have a word. Size of his following is possibly bigger.
Yeah. The Jews don't have a prophet.
Well, anyway, Vice did a documentary on this and they let him film and the whole thing seemed nice, you know. But the show asked some of the followers how they would feel if they found out Rael had just made the whole thing up. And they said they would still say thank you because of the lessons they've learned and the life they've been able to live. That made me feel like it was a cult.
Yeah, that's Stockholm Syndrome, that is.
You can attend a Happiness Academy, which is a 6-day event and invites members of the public. And I wasn't able to find pricing recently, but the Africa event was £25 a ticket, which I did not think was that bad. I thought it was going to be thousands.
Go live in Africa and see how much that is.
Yeah, I know. So I thought, I had to convert that as well. It was thousands of African money.
So it depends where you are. It could be millions in Zimbabwe or wherever it was.
But it was 25, and that was in 2016. That was the only one I could find the price of. The rest all say coming soon under the price thing. But they hold these all over the world, and they promote self-love and finding happiness and lifelong happiness.
I'd be interested to go to the African one just because I want to go to Africa.
Well, if they bring one to London, maybe we'll go and report back.
I feel like I'm not being listened to.
I know you want to go to Africa, but then we have got to pay to get to Africa, and they don't pay for your accommodation.
Yeah, but we could. Right, this is my plan. Right, sneakily join cult, stay with cult, fuck off.
I don't think it's that easy to get out of a cult. This is what concerns me about going into a cult.
No, it is. It is if you've not bought into it, you can just walk out.
Well, a lot of people have been to this Happiness Academy and said that there's a lot of articles, a couple of which I'll put in the blog as well, where they go and it's like a 24-hour event and then they give you the hard sell at the end and try and get you to join. And one of them said they rang him once afterwards to follow up. He didn't answer and that was the end of it. It wasn't like they came after him and tried to get him.
Well, no, the cults that do that don't actually last that long. If you're too obvious about it, you need to be just obvious enough for the dumb folk to realise it's happening, but not so that they realise what's actually happening.
Well, apparently Rael does attend these events quite often, although he is getting on a bit now. So he does quite a lot of them virtually as well. And it's said that there'll be a power struggle when he dies. Although on the subject of death, he is immortal, so his body will die here, but he will go back to the Elohim and live on elsewhere, as somebody else. I'm sure they will.
And why would there be a power struggle when they're just going to choose a new prophet?
Well, there you go.
It's not up for man to decide, is it? It's up for the Elohim.
Well, they drink a lot to pee out the hatred. Yeah. And there's a lot of naked dancing, classic. I suppose we sort of expected that. And they preach that everything is an illusion. So gender, religion, sexuality, education. They do spout some questionable facts, like 80% of homeless people hold an advanced degree.
That is not true.
And hardly any billionaires, which when I Googled it is something about 80% of billionaires do hold degrees.
Yeah, and everyone likes to hold on to your Bill Gateses and your Steve Jobs.
Yeah, 80%, exactly. There is another 20% of people.
But what they forget is that they also quit out.
There's also not that many billionaires.
No,
so.
but they also quit out
Yeah.
of these technical... Like, Bill Gates wasn't an idiot. He was studying computing, but he was a troublemaker.
Now, Hiroshima, they talk a lot about this, but honestly, I struggle to make sense of it. They see it as the new year because it signalled we were at the age of the apocalypse. And they said it's been a long time coming.
This ties into a lot of extraterrestrial theory.
Okay. Because I couldn't make sense of it. They kept talking about it, but I wasn't able to tell you...
Why?
I kept reading about it, but...
What it is that when we let off the first atomic bombs, the idea is that was the first time we'd ever sent a signal out into space like that. And
right.
Like when you let off an atomic bomb, there's a horrendous amount of energy and stuff like fly, and this like acts like a beacon to aliens that are like, hold up, these guys have gone nuclear, better keep an eye on them because, well, look what we've done with going nuclear. Have we fed the world and powered the world? No, we've fucking threatened each other with bombs. So the idea is that, and because like aliens sightings have advanced, like you get more of them in more places now. It's from that date. They think it's because they're more interested in us because we're now a threat, which is bollocks because we're not a threat because we can't get the nuke to them.
Well, also, even just our space travel is a problem because obviously there was that we tried to, I don't know, do something from England recently, didn't we? And that failed horrendously. So getting into space is our first problem.
We haven't even perfected that yet. Like, if you look at how many shuttles have gone into space and how many have failed, although it's not many that have failed, it's not many that have gone into space, so the failure rate is actually quite high.
We're not zipping around like
it's not like planes where got a high percentage of these missions that go wrong. We can't even master that yet. So we're not a threat to anyone apart from ourselves. So I don't buy into the aliens are checking up on us thing, but that's probably where his come from. Like, it's us entering a new age. It's us entering the age where we can destroy ourselves easily.
That's also why he had to be born after 1945. So it was after Hiroshima.
But why did it have to be after?
I don't know.
But so many people were born after.
I know.
Why was it him?
Because his mother was chosen. I don't know. Now, the Bible stuff, right? Now, translating the Bible to Raelian will take me probably several episodes. So I've picked out my favourite parts and I'll put links on the blog where you can read more. And remember, it's all in his first book, which you can download for free if you would like to. But it's very clear that we have misunderstood pretty much all of the Bible.
Well, I mean, yeah, agreed, but probably for different reasons.
Now, obviously, you've got creation, right? That is a fairly disputed, how he created us and all that gets talked about a lot. But it's not God. It's the Elohim, remember? There is no Big Bang. Earth was just here. And the creators created all living beings on Earth. So all the plants and us and all the animals is the Elohim. So that's your biggest one. That's your same sort of thing, though, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but it would like, even if you could do those sorts of things, it would take so fucking long to terraform a planet.
Well, maybe it did.
Well, no.
I don't know how long the Elohim live. Obviously a long time.
I thought they were like infinite or something.
But exactly. I guess they just switch bodies when their body becomes old. And right. Well, the Garden of Eden was not a garden.
Well, yeah, we can all agree on that.
It was an alien spaceship lab.
Yeah, I've heard this before.
Yeah. Noah's Ark.
Spaceship.
Big spaceship that was lifted above the earth to preserve genetic materials of the animals. I still take issue with this.
Yep.
Right? And if you haven't already, you can go back and listen to what is possibly my favourite episode that we've done. Did Noah build an ark? It was some time ago now. You'll have to scroll back a bit. But whatever you're doing, whether you're having it in the sea or lifting it up into the air or whatever, to believe that some guy built an ark and put all those animals in it has serious problems. Go back and listen to that episode, but I still have a problem with that.
I think it was in Supernature that Ricky Gervais points this out, that there are currently something like 3 billion species on the planet, and there are more species have gone extinct than currently exist.
But then, obviously, we did sort of address that in the Noah's Ark episode because they say that it's not species, didn't they? What did they say it was? It was types. So you could eventually breed a jackal with a, alley cat or whatever.
Yeah, there's a very basic understanding of how it works.
So, yeah, I can't quite remember how they described it now, but they did address that. So if you haven't already listened to that episode, pop back and listen to that. But the flood was this is interesting, was the fallout from an atomic missile accidentally sent by the Elohim.
So
it's like...
Also, there's no evidence of that in our history.
Also, it doesn't, because wouldn't Noah still have had to have time to have gotten all the animals on the ark?
Well, I think the idea is that this was a genetic ark, so all they really needed was the bit of their blood. But still, that's a massive
That's
undertaking.
depressing, isn't it?
Again,
If he went around afterwards and picked up all the bits of animals.
2.9 billion species or whatever, blood samples.
Now, finally, one thing I kept seeing crop up, which isn't actually a belief of the Raelians, but some people saw it as a bit of an answer to this. Some people said, what if Yahweh, so Yahweh Elohim, Claude's dad, Rael's dad, and Jesus' dad, what if he is actually Lucifer, sent by God to deceive humans?
Now we've got to some Inception level.
We've gone like full circle here now. I thought that was just a really nice way to like end this. Because
I mean,
what if it's all wrong because Yahweh is Lucifer testing us Christians, and the whole Christian thing was like other version of God.
The funny thing is that's exactly what what Jews think of Jesus.
So we have come full circle.
They think that he's a false prophet.
That is pretty much it. There was a couple of things I just wanted to bring up. Crop circles. We also did an episode on crop circles. So I was interested to find out if they had any opinion on that. And they do. It's on their website. They said that most of them are fake, but there are a few that are real. And they are indeed extraterrestrials preparing us for their arrival, which we did talk about in the episode as being.
We did. Again, a shit way of doing it.
They've been doing it for a really long time. I'm not prepared.
I think they've done this thing here where they're trying to convince you that what they're saying is logical, because they're saying some of them are fake. So that makes you think that they're actually on the ball, but actually they're just making it up.
I also saw a number of people asking what the difference is between a religion and a cult. And this is a very difficult question to answer.
There is none.
There seems to be very negative connotations to cult. And I saw a great answer to this in one of the comments on a YouTube video I was watching, which said, and I can't imagine he came up with this, it said that a religion is a popular cult and a cult is an unpopular religion.
That's perfect, yeah.
Isn't that great? I thought that was really nice. So, but it still doesn't answer the question as to what this is, because on the face of it, this isn't a bad cult.
Let me stop you there before you make a bad assumption. Yes, so far they haven't listed anything that is terrible. They haven't listed that they have to kill themselves.
And it's been 50 years, so...
Yeah, but what he has is those people in the palm of his hand.
Is that not true for Christianity, though?
Yes, and that's why I don't like it. All they have to do is decide to do something terrible, like, hey, let's all kill ourselves, and these idiots are going to do it.
Well, Heaven's Gate.
Exactly. So just because at the moment their mission doesn't seem to be bad or evil, doesn't mean we give them benefit of the doubt and allow them to carry on.
Well, what you're saying is just keep an eye on them.
What I would like to say is abolish them all, but we can't.
But they're not, I don't think they're doing even as much wrong as some Christian versions. Hillsong.
No, and I believe just as fairly that all organised religion
should be abolished.
Should be abolished.
No, I agree. On the face of it, though, I really don't think they're that bad.
No, they're not. But
if I had have joined this cult, I don't think we'd have so much to worry about, apart from maybe our bank balance.
On a side note, we will be requiring a subscription of £150 a month to listen to our podcast.
Yeah, but don't worry, because we're going to tell you who the creators are. But people have also wondered if in 100 years this will be like a commonplace and normal religion.
Well, this is probably how religion started.
Exactly that. Under the assumption that Christianity might have been laughed at too.
Oh,
like a man saying, I'm the son of God.
Oh, it really
or the
was
son of Elohim.
It really was.
Yeah. So maybe if he keeps it up and just quietly keeps doing nice things, like fighting for gay rights and stuff, great. Mate, who knows where we'll be in 100 years with this.
There's doing good, and then there's what cults do. Yeah. He's not... I'd say that the difference between a religion and a cult is actually that a cult is designed to empower the leader, while a religion is designed to empower the people.
Well, I just want to say as well that I saw quite a lot of people claiming to be Raelians in comments on Reddit and YouTube. And genuinely, they seem like normal people. I'm sure they are. And this is not an attack on Raelians, on Raelians, because we've spoken like this about Christians as well. So this is like all religion, let us be clear. And but this is how cults start, and I do have concerns. And I sort of like wondered if it was okay to do an episode on this, because I've got no plans to do an episode on Christianity. And if you lay it all down and write it out, it's like equally as bonkers. But then we did do Noah's Ark.
I'd fucking love to tear a new one into all religions.
Exactly. So we're not picking on one religion here.
Oh and no, I'm equally bigoted to all religions.
But I thought it might be nice if you heard what Rael had to say at the end of this episode on the Vice documentary that he did, and this is what he said to people who may be sceptical about his religion.
I think it's good if people watching this movie just for 1 second just for 1 second, people who are full of doubt and think, oh, this man is a liar, he invented all these things, if they could stop just a few seconds to say, what if it's true?
So what he's saying there is if you don't believe him, you think he's a liar, just stop and ask yourself, what if it's true?
Yeah, the standard ancient aliens argument. What if? But
so I think, have you got any other thoughts on Rael or
what if
Raelians?
we were genetically created by a sentient civilization of bicycles? So, like, what if? You can't argue when I say what if. I hate it.
Oh,
I
no,
hate
but
it.
I think there
I
is
hate it.
I think there is like levels, isn't there?
No, there's not. There's not. When you're playing with what if, like, because what it's saying is ignore everything you think about it and just imagine it is real. So it doesn't matter. You can say anything. Imagine that potatoes are bouncy.
If it is real, I don't think anything bad's going to happen because even though I'm not a Raelian, I'm doing all of the things that they want me to do. I'm not cloning people, but I am into science. I do respect others and myself. All right, we don't go to orgies, but I'm not like against it.
No, but I align with a lot of religious views because a lot of religious views are just being a good human. But what I don't do is to be a good human because my imaginary friend told me to be, and I fear their punishment.
I mean, like, if you don't worship God, you'll go to hell. You know, you're not allowed to say his name in vain and all the rest of it. But like this religion, I'm already living by a lot of what he wants me to do anyway. So I'm not like fearful of when the Elohim comes in 2035.
You live by what 90% of what Christians want you to do. It's just the stuff on the outside that makes it really fucking bonkers.
Yeah. We'll do a bonus episode in 2035 when they come.
Yeah, I'm prepared to eat my words on this, but I don't think they're coming.
I don't necessarily think this is real. One person did think, did he just go into the volcanic area one day, get really high? And maybe he does believe this happened.
Sulfur doesn't make you high.
No, but just on drugs. Maybe he took some drugs.
Oh, okay.
Got high.
I thought you meant he went to the volcanic region.
Not like naturally, just like was out for his walk, took something, did something, got really high, saw this like spaceship in his mind, and just he's so convinced that that's real.
It's rare to disassociate that level. Like,
rare but not impossible. Is it any more impossible than seeing an alien?
No, but what I mean is that seeing a spaceship might not be uncommon, but being so unaware that you actually think it's real is very rare. Like,
well, as I said, on the whole,
when you're tripping, you're not removing any sorts of sense from your brain. So like you kind of go, like I talked to a spider once. Doesn't mean I think that spiders can talk.
But I think that, like I said, they probably should be kept an eye on. I'm sure someone probably is. But
there'd be multiple government agencies keeping an eye on them, please. They're a cult.
But on the face of it, they are not one of the bad ones. Like we spoke about the other cult we did, the Family or the Family International, whatever it is they're called now. Oh God, that was just awful.
I'm not willing to go that far. I am not willing at all to go that far. I'm not willing. I will never cast a cult in a positive light. I think they're only
or organised religion. Let's be clear.
Yeah,
so whatever we're calling this, you don't agree with it.
No, and I don't agree with the idea that they're harmless because everyone you can't have that argument. Like Christianity is harmless.
Been harmless.
Yeah, they've been harmless. So most Christians. But what about the ones that protest soldiers' funerals? What about the ones that go outside abortion clinics and make and scare young women, vulnerable young women? What about the ones that condemn homosexuals?
Well, if I accidentally join, I'll let you know. Otherwise, we'll be back in 2035 with a follow-up episode to this one. But we will still be back next week with a new topic. Okay, so you can find us on Instagram at the Mystery of Life Pod, the blog, which will have more of the information that we spoke about this week as well in our blog post on Friday, is mysteryoflifepodcast.co.uk, and we'll be back next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.